All right, let's get started. So with the absence of a chair tonight, we need to elect a member of the board to serve as chair. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Jackie Edmondson.
Do we have a second? Thank you. All right, any other nominations? All right, a vote, please. 4. Thank you. And against? Congratulations, Jackie. You could take the chair if you want.
All right, so I am going to call the August 11th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting to order. We're going to start with a roll call. I'm going to start on my left.
Jeff Moss.
Deb Cameron.
Alex Whelan.
Jackie Edmondson. And Elizabeth Shin is on her way in. All right, we are now going to do approval of the July 14th, 2026 meeting. Did all of you have a chance to review the minutes from that meeting? Great. Is there a motion to approve or is there a conversation needed?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Move that we approve the minutes.
I have a comment / change for
Beautiful.
those minutes.
Motion. Second, and now there's discussion.
We're going to go back to discussion. Commissioner Shin?
On the minutes from the July 14th commission meeting, there was I guess additional commissioners showed up after one of the votes. So one of the count needs to be updated. I think it indicated 4 commissioners when I think there were like 5 or 6 of us.
Yeah, that's right. In the new business area on number 1, it lists 6 commissioners for the vote, but lists the number 4. And the same thing, yeah, in the new business votes, it should be 4 FOR and then the number 6. Those 2 votes.
Where are you tracking? Are you tracking under new business number 1?
Yes. And then new business number 2 as well.
Staff, does that make sense? Anything else?
No.
Thanks.
It just you can amend your motion to correct the number present for that vote.
Could do it that way too, yeah. Who made the motion? I made the
You
motion.
made the motion.
I would accept a friendly amendment to make the change that we've already discussed to the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. So that passes. Good to go. All right. All right. Are there any updates? Oh, did you want to do the updates for the planning commissioners? Or
Sorry, Jackie, can you call the vote and then do the count?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So we had a motion to amend the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Approve and amend the minutes based on Commissioner Shin's comments. And we had a second. Can we have a vote to approve the July 2026 minutes? All in favor? None against, so that moves. Thanks for keeping it. Okay. All right, any additional items, staff, for the organizational area?
Yeah, so as you all know, Thomas O'Brien has shifted over to the Zoning Board of Appeals, so he'll no longer be serving on the Planning Commission. The mayor is currently looking to appoint a new member, but she has not been able to do so yet. But we're hoping by next month's meeting that you all will have a new member of the Planning Commission to welcome to the team.
Great, thank you. All right, at this time, then we can move to any unfinished business. No unfinished business, so we can move through that. All right, then we will start with new business. So the first one is RZ 2602. Madeline, turn it over to you.
Yeah, let me just pull up the PowerPoint real quick. So we do have a pretty packed agenda this evening. It might actually be the most number of cases we've reviewed in one meeting. So I'm going to try and keep these as concise as possible. So following my presentation, I'll immediately pull up the applicant's presentation and so we can move into theirs smoothly, and then we'll move into the public hearing portion. So the case before you tonight is RZ 26-02. This is a request to rezone two properties from R-100 to R-60. Those are residential zoning districts. And that's to allow the creation of 3 lots. This is a little bit of background on the property. This is an aerial photo of the area. And if you see that yellow dotted line, that represents the border between Dunwoody and Sandy Springs. So this parcel sits right on the border. And then on the other side in Sandy Springs, those lots outlined in black have recently been rezoned by the city of Sandy Springs for a 21 lot subdivision. And then this property is adjacent to the North Atlanta Church of Christ as well. It's approximately 1.52 acres and it's completely landlocked, meaning it has no street frontage or access to any adjacent streets. The proposed project is to incorporate this 1.5 acre portion of property on the Dunwoody side into the 21 lot subdivision on the Sandy Springs side. So it would be a total subdivision of 24 lots. The characteristics of the subdivision that was approved in Sandy Springs is they are approximately 10,000 square feet on average and about 75 feet in width. And the homes that they propose to build on them are around 3,500 to 4,500 square feet. They're essentially asking to match the character of that subdivision that was approved recently. And the zoning district that best matches that character is Dunwoody's R-60 zoning district. This is a little close-up of the Dunwoody parcel specifically. So it would go from 2 to 3 lots, and they would be at the end of the cul-de-sac of the Sandy Springs subdivision. So it would be 3 lots with some underground detention as well. This is examples of the type of products that the home builder has constructed in the past and the sort of visual look that they're looking for the neighborhood and that neighborhood character. For the rezoning criteria overall, we find that there really is no opportunity for these parcels which exist legally to be developed without being incorporated into a subdivision. And so this is the opportunity for those properties to be developed, and allowing the rezoning allows those lots to be consistent with the rest of the neighborhood that would be a part of. So for that, we also had one public comment, and that would be from the homeowner at 1389 Spalding Drive, so adjacent to this property. And they're requesting a privacy fence along the eastern property line, and they're also requesting to shift the detention area to the western side of the property. But overall, staff's recommendation is to approve the project subject to 2 conditions, one tying them to the site plan, and then a second condition requiring the sidewalk to be extended all the way through the property to provide access to Roberts Drive. And then I'll go ahead and pull up the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Alex Brock with Smith Gambrell Russell. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Providence Group of Georgia. Joining me tonight, I have Mr. Clint Walters with Providence Group. And we are here to request a rezoning of a 1.5 acre tract of land within the city of Dunwoody to incorporate that into the overall development of the remaining subdivision, which is within the city of Sandy Springs. As Madeline mentioned in her presentation, the Sandy Springs portion was rezoned to RD9, which is similar to the R60 district, which we are requesting in the city of Dunwoody. Our goal is to create one cohesive development so that the additional 3 lots match what is planned and rezoned, excuse me, within the city of Sandy Springs. As you can see here on this plan, the red line represents the city limits between Sandy Springs and Dunwoody. The Dunwoody parcels are to the south. As mentioned, there are 3 proposed homes and a underground detention. The underground detention will have green space on top of it. All vehicular access from the 3 lots will be provided through the Sandy Springs development. We will have a signalized intersection at the intersection of Pitts Road and Spalding Drive. We are also providing pedestrian access from the 3 lots to the south to the North Atlanta Church of Christ. That was a comment made by staff, or request made by staff, in one of their proposed conditions, which we've already incorporated into our zoning plan. The Dunwoody parcels would also include landscape buffering and a 6-foot privacy fence. We have spoken with the adjacent neighbor, Ms. Smitzy's, on both with the Sandy Springs rezoning as well as for the current Dunwoody zoning. With that, we cannot shift the underground detention, but again, it will be underground. And you can see on this plan, her home is further to the north, adjacent to the Sandy Springs parcel, closer to Spalding Drive. Where we have our detention is at the very far south of her lot, adjacent to a wooded section. So, and again, it's underground detention with landscape or green space on top. So it would not be noticeable to Ms. Smitzy's. Again, the intent is to create consistency across the development and create one cohesive residential development, which is why we are requesting a R60 a district for this development. Staff has recommended approval with 2 conditions. Here are both the Dunwoody conditions as well as Sandy Springs adjacent to it. We are in agreement with staff's recommended conditions, and we ask for your recommendation of approval as well. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we're going to open it up for public comment. Did we get any papers? No? Is there anyone who would like to speak for? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone here who would like to speak against? All right, so no public comment on this one. Commissioners, I will open it up for questions from you all. Commissioner Shin, I'll start with you.
I don't have any questions.
Just for the sake of clarity, I'm having a little trouble following the map. Is the homeowner that wanted to shift the pond in Dunwoody or in Sandy Springs?
Let me share the map real quick. And I'll point out her property. So she owns 1369 Spalding, and her property goes all the way back to the North Atlanta Church of Christ. So she has a portion of her lot in Sandy Springs, and then the back portion of her lot is in Dunwoody, and she owns both of those parcels.
Okay. No easy way out here. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Cameron?
The church has agreed to have the sidewalk go across its property to Roberts Drive. Will it have to cross the church property?
The sidewalk will tie into the drive at the church, and the church is aware of the sidewalk and agreed to it.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Commissioner Moss?
No questions.
All right, at this time, is there any comment or discussion? Is there a motion?
I move that we approve RZ 26-02, subject to staff's two conditions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Wonderful. Hearing a second. Let's do a vote. All in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. All right, we are moving on to RZ 2606 regarding 4891 Ashford Dunwoody Road.
Just give me 1 second to share my screen. All right, so the next item on the agenda is RZ 26-06 for 4891 Ashford Dunwoody Road. This is actually a parcel right up the street from City Hall that we should all be familiar with. It's the blood bank property around the corner. And they're requesting to rezone to PC-3 for the development of up to 33 townhomes. A little bit of background on this site. It's a 3.42 acre site. It's currently a blood bank. The blood bank is looking to sell the site because they're moving their offices. And the way the site is currently set up is with 2 curb cuts off of Ashford Center Parkway. There's currently no access to Ashford Dunwoody Road. The site is also located along the path of the future Ashford Dunwoody path, which is a trail that would connect Ashford Dunwoody along its entire length in Dunwoody. The proposed project is to close the easternmost curb cut and redevelop the site with 33 townhomes. The access would be reduced to just that 1 curb cut, which is in the same place as the existing. And then they would also be closing the slip lane at the intersection of Ashford Center Parkway and Ashford Dunwoody Road. And then they would also be responsible for constructing the portion of Ashford Dunwoody path that goes across their property. And you can see on the right there that there's a photo of that path. That's what it looks like in front of the mall. That's what this would emulate. These are the elevations of the proposed townhome model for this site. They would be a maximum of 50 feet in height, and they would be 4 stories, and the facade materials would be mainly brick and stone. Overall, we feel that this project introduces new owner-occupied options that are both walkable to Dunwoody Village and the Perimeter Center. We haven't had any new owner-occupied options for housing in the Perimeter Center in a couple of years now. And same for Dunwoody Village. It's been quite a while. And this use is completely in line with the Ashford Center character area. It's specifically requested for townhomes to be in that area. And we do find that this proposal is consistent with the size and scale of the development around it. It's adjacent to an office, it's adjacent to apartments, condos, and other small lot residential, so completely fits in with that character. And so for these reasons, we are recommending approval of the zoning application to the PC-3 zoning district. We do have 7 recommended conditions. The first 2 conditions are just holding them to the site plan and elevations that they've submitted. The third sets the maximum height as 50 feet. And then 4 through 7 are related to the street layout on the interior of the site and the public access to that. The condition number 4 specifically does call out an easement for future connection, but we haven't officially determined what that easement would look like, but it's for future street grid development. If you recall a case from last month at 1200 Ashwood, we had talked about that same building out of the street grid, and so this is related to that same thing, but we are working out with the applicant that proposed easement location. But I will go ahead and turn it over to the applicant so they can share more about their project.
Good evening again. Again, my name is Alex Brock with Smith Gambrell Russell. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Lennar, Georgia. Joining me tonight, I have Mr. Nat Ackerson with Lennar, Georgia. And this is a request for a rezoning of approximately 3.42 acres. It's the Life South Blood Bank that's located just up the street from where we are tonight. And we are requesting a rezoning from O&I to PC3, Perimeter Center District, to allow the development of 33 for-sale townhome units. As you can see on the aerial, this is the Life South property. As Madeline mentioned, there are currently 2 curb cuts that serve the property. We are eliminating one of those curb cuts on Ashford Center Parkway and leaving the other curb cut for access to the development. Oops. Not. Okay. Here you can see an aerial photo of the existing property. Oops. Another aerial photo. To the left, you have Ashford Dunwoody. To the south, just off the photo, you can see Ashford Center Parkway. Here's a survey of the existing property with the existing Life South development. And here's what we are proposing: 33 owner-occupied townhomes. The units will be approximately 2,850 square feet with 3 to 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, an upper floor loft space with an outdoor living area. Each unit will have 2-car garage. There will be additional guest parking on the site. The development will also incorporate significant landscaping and amenities, including a pocket park, a fire pit area, and pedestrian sidewalks throughout the development, which will connect to the streetscape along Ashford Dunwoody and Ashford Center Parkway. We are proposing a upgrade to the streetscape along both those right-of-ways as requested by staff and as Madeline mentioned in her presentation. The use is commensurate with the surrounding uses in the area. To the northwest, you have a assisted living. To the north, you have self-storage. To the south is multifamily, and to the west is office. This is located in the Ashford character area. And what this does, this acts as a transition in intensity from the perimeter center character area to the south to the less intense Dunwoody Village to the north. And the townhomes, the owner-occupied townhomes, add a mix of residential options into the area, which is primarily multifamily in this immediate area. Here you can see the architectural elevations of what is being proposed. Note that no more than 2 units side by side will have the same architectural features. This allows a breakup of the massing without offsetting the facades of the building in conformance with what is required by the PC3 district. We have met with the Dunwoody Homeowners Association. They have recommended approval of the application. A copy of the email of their approval was submitted to staff, which should be a part of your packet tonight. Staff has also recommended approval with conditions. We are in agreement with the conditions proposed by staff, and we ask for your approval of this application as well. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to open it up for public comment. Have we received any? No. Is there anyone here present that would like to speak for the project? All right, seeing none, anyone against? All right, then we will begin a commissioner question. This time I'll start to my left with Commissioner Moss.
The only question I would have would be about the streetscape along Ashford Dunwoody. Is there any more information about what that's going to look like? It'll obviously be very highly visible on Ashford Dunwoody Road back and forth. So I'm just kind of curious as what that'll look like. Trees, shrubbery. What's the plan for that? Rather than am I just going to be looking at the front of those townhomes?
Yeah, let me pull up this portion of my presentation real quick. Doing a lot of toggling between presentations tonight. Here we go. So the Ashford Dunwoody path, it has a separate cycle track and a separate walking path. There would be a street buffer. Now there are transmission lines there, so sometimes those transmission lines impact what types of trees you can plant. So we're not exactly sure how that will impact the tree landscaping, but there will be something, even if it is an understory tree. But that's sort of a cross that bridge when we get to it with the DeKalb County Fire Department. But it should look very similar to what's in front of the mall.
No other questions.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Cameron?
To the applicant, do you have an average price for these townhomes? Do you know what that will be?
Currently, we don't have a price set, but we're looking at approximately 800 starting.
And then my other question is the back of the townhomes going to be facing Ashford Dunwoody Road?
The design of the townhomes on Ashford Center Parkway and Ashford Dunwoody Road is at the front of them faces the main streets. So they're rear loaded townhomes, so they'll load from the interior street.
Great, thanks.
Commissioner Wallach?
No questions.
All right, Commissioner Shin?
I have some concern over the 50-foot height maximum, just understanding the grade of the site being on top of a hill. Do you have other project examples of like built projects that have this height of a townhome?
Matt, or
From the applicant. From the applicant. Yeah.
Can you please come up to the podium? Yeah. Kindly just state your name for us.
Sure. My name is Nat Ackerman, and I'm with Lennar. So you're looking to see if we have built this in other places? Is that what?
Yeah, like 4-story, 50 feet.
Mhm. Yeah, we've built this particular homes in 5200 off of Peachtree Parkway. So that was one.
Oh, like near Tilly Mill.
Excuse me. Yeah, across from the
From Doraville.
no, it's
Oh.
north of 285. So 5200 at Town Center in Peachtree Corners.
Okay. Okay. And then my other comment on the site plan, understanding that the city public works has the project, that's like the Ashford Connector project, and just timing of this development versus the roadway project component. Could there be a edit to the site plan to provide like a bike ramp where we're taking out that slip lane on Ashford Center Parkway?
Are you talking about the Ashford Dunwoody path, or are you talking about improvements along Ashford Center Parkway?
On Ashford Center Parkway.
On Ashford Center Parkway. Can you describe a little bit more what the bike ramp would be from? Would it be from the corner there?
So it looks like on the site plan, the curb, like the street remains the same on Ashford Center Parkway. And then if like you zoomed in on the site plan, it creates kind of this wedge, this corner where the curb ramp just like the curb just like creates this corner.
Let me pull up the
yeah, it's like it might be
actual-
easier to look at the site plan.
Yeah, let me pull up the actual site plan.
Essentially, this development is creating a new curb line on Ashford Center Parkway, removing that right turn lane, but it's still keeping the bike lane. And so you see that there's this like taper transition where the bike lane just like runs into the curb and gutter. So if there could be if you pan to like the right a little bit,
Sorry, this like the PDF reader is it's so
Yeah.
hard to zoom in.
So
So-
right below existing pond to remain if you look at the curb line. But if there could be a bike ramp right there next to where like the turn arrow is.
A
the
bike
bike-
ramp like right here.
Yeah, from where the through left striping is, but the further one back out. Like, I wish I could.
Okay.
point-
Oh, like
yeah.
a feed in right here. Is this what
Yeah,
you're
where
talking
like
about?
the bike lane
Okay.
on Ashford Center Parkway, it just like abruptly ends at the curb. So
Yeah.
if there's a bike ramp onto that corner now, and then they can get onto the phase 3 project.
Okay. Bike ramp. I'm just taking these notes so that we can incorporate what you're talking about real quick. Okay.
And then my other question is, one of the staff conditions was to not have it be gated. So the site design, it kind of looks like it intends to be gated, or I'm just wondering what that like taper, the wider opening is for.
You're talking about this?
Yeah, like why does it taper into the site and it's not just like the 26 feet curb to curb?
It won't be gated. I think maybe just some of the line work here is looks a little wonky, but they're not proposing to gate the community. And we don't allow people to gate them anyway. I think if you're talking about the taper here, I think it's just to get a shorter distance for pedestrians to cross.
Oh, I meant like the entrance to the neighborhood is wider and then it like narrows down.
Oh, like this curb right here?
Yeah.
I think they're using the existing curb line because it has a pretty wide radius to get into the blood bank right now. It looks like the proposal is just to keep the curb radius as it is, if that's what you're referring to.
No, but that's something they can work on. Okay, thanks.
Let's see, I have 2 questions. I think Madeline, you might be able to answer them, but is there any concern about emergency vehicles getting in and out now that that entrance, and there's only one entrance, has kind of become more narrow?
My understanding is that because it's only 33 townhomes, it's not enough to require a secondary fire access. I don't believe DeKalb County has requested that.
Okay. And then I wanted to just get a better understanding when you're looking at the parking lot that's in the back. Right now, there's a lot of green space in between, I think it's the self-storage and the blood bank now. How much of that is being removed to allow for the parking lot?
Well, they do have to have that hammerhead there for fire truck turnaround.
Got it,
That's
okay.
why they put those there. So because that's already going there, I think it was also an easy place to include some additional guest parking.
Okay. Okay, great. That was it for me. Thank you. Is there any additional comments or questions from commissioners?
If it was all parked up, how would the fire trucks turn around?
The fire trucks, they use the hammerhead to turn around. So there's 4 parking spaces here, but the lanes are what they can use to turn around. So that's my understanding is typically they have them do sort of a
I see, but
multi-point turn in those hammerheads.
it's only the lower part of the hammerhead on the left
Yes,
that
right
has the
here.
parking in it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Great. Anything additional? All right, hearing nothing. Is anyone prepared to make a motion?
I will make a motion. I motion to approve RZ 2606, subject to staff conditions plus a additional condition to ensure a bike ramp in the interim, pending the Ashford Connector city project to have the bike lane from Ashford Center Parkway connect to the path on Ashford Dunwoody Road.
Thank you. Commissioner Shin has proposed a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, at this time, we have a second for approval with staff conditions along with the addition to look at the bike lane curb on Ashford Center Parkway in connection with the connector project. All in favor, please make the sign. All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, at this time, we are going to move on to the next one, which is RZ 2604. Regarding 209, 211, 219, and 223 Perimeter Center Parkway and 1051 Hammond Drive.
So this project would be at the High Street development. If you're all familiar with that, that's what those 5 addresses are. And they're not requesting a traditional rezoning. They're keeping the zoning district the same. What they're requesting is a major modification to modify the existing zoning conditions, to amend the site plan and the ratio of approved uses for specifically Block 6 of the High Street development. And hopefully as I go through the background, that makes a little bit more sense. So this is the site plan that was approved in 2018. And then you can see this table here in orange shows all of the different uses and the ratio of those approved uses. So this is essentially their zoning entitlements, what they're allowed to build. Now, so far, they've only built out phase 1 of their project. The portion of the phase that we're talking about tonight is in phase 2. And then I've outlined in yellow future phases, which we don't have a current timeline on when those would be completed. Phase 1 has already been built out, and I've just included a photo of High Street if you haven't been there. Essentially, it's a mixed-use development that is centered around a public plaza or a green space, which they program with different activities throughout the year. And there's retail, office, restaurants, and residential in this area. Now, Block 6 specifically is the subject of the zoning request tonight. They want to amend Block 6. What it's approved for right now is a 7-story residential building with a parking garage and ground floor retail. What they want to go to is to change the design of that block and have it be 3 separate commercial buildings that would be up to 5 stories with surface parking and underground parking and a new plaza. I'm just going to zoom in so that we can see it a little bit more clearly. So this would be the original Block 6 on the left, and then on the right would be the new proposed layout for Block 6. And these are the 3 different commercial buildings, and it would have about approximately 100 surface parking spaces. You'd also have an underground parking garage that you enter through one of the 2 buildings. And there would be an entrance off of South Street and an entrance off of Middle Street, just to orient you a little bit better. All the way to the south, that is Perimeter Center Parkway. So that's the street, the main street that goes by. It's between High Street and the mall. So that's Perimeter Center Parkway. And then they have a new plaza proposed with some additional green space and landscaping along Perimeter Center Parkway. And those are both highlighted in green. Overall, we don't have a lot to review here. All we have is the conceptual drawing, and we don't have any elevations that we can refer to. The applicant in their application did provide renderings, but they marked those renderings specifically as conceptual, and they don't want to be conditioned to those drawings. This isn't our typical mode of reviewing rezonings in Dunwoody. We typically do require more detail on our site plans and actual elevations, just so we can understand how a site functions and how it would interact more with the environment around it. In general, I mean, what we can say is that the proposed mix of uses is appropriate for the development, and we do want High Street to continue its success and to have a great impact on the existing built part of High Street and in the surrounding perimeter center. But we just really can't answer too many questions, about the actual design and how it would function. The applicant's goal in requesting this rezoning is to have flexibility in their design. But from our perspective as staff, we don't have enough information to determine whether it meets all of the requirements of a rezoning. However, if you do wish to go forward with the rezoning, we do have recommended conditions. A lot of these conditions that I'm showing on this page are carryovers from the 2007 rezoning case. So I won't go through all of those. But the new conditions for the Block 6 rezoning include the construction of a 12-foot multi-use trail along the rear of the property. This would give access to Hammond Drive through the property. And then we also have conditions specifically for Block 6. That would be these conditions 17 through 28. I've color coded them just so that they're a little bit easier to parse through. Essentially, we have several conditions highlighted in red, and those are related to the building design. We have a couple conditions related in blue, highlighted in blue, and those are related to street and sidewalk design and sort of the experience of both pedestrians and cars. And then the green is related to landscape design. We don't typically have zoning conditions this prescriptive. We're typically referring to exhibits that show, what it would be built as. But in this case, because we don't have those drawings to refer to, we have to build in a lot of those design requirements. That way we have at least some certainty of what that final product would look like. And to ensure that it meets, our goals for the perimeter center area. But overall, this is our layout of the project, and I'll go ahead and let the applicant explain their project in a little bit more detail.
Good evening, Laurel David with the Galloway Law Group. First, I'd like to say that was an excellent presentation. I love the graphics. We may have to try and steal her from Richard for our advertising team. We agree that there's insufficient information. Said another way, there are some clarifications that I think both staff need and also our client GID also need. And I'll just point out a couple of things. Let's see, it's not moving. Okay, okay, great. Well, no, it's not. Let's see if I can work. That's okay. Yeah. Okay. The first is the multi-use trail on the western property line. It's our understanding that this trail has not been designed yet. It will be a joint effort in terms of design and approval by both City of Sandy Springs and the City of Dunwoody. So we will need some better understanding of the timing of that, particularly if the city is asking that we be tied to actually constructing it by the time GID will be ready to file for its land disturbance permit. We think that that timing that GID will be ready much sooner before the city will. Sorry, gotta find the arrow. The other is that there are a few conditions that we physically can't meet. And it, I think, probably may not have been clear with our actual submittal. There's, if you can see my cursor along the front, along the PCP frontage, there's a rise from PCP up to where the developed area of this Block 6 will be. There's also a grade difference of about 10 to 12 feet from the street here. Hopefully you can see that. That's called South Street, and Middle Street here, which if you look at closer at the, I think I've that you'll see the stairs on the left-hand side. That is why those stairs are there, because that part is actually going to be higher than which would be the north corner on Perimeter Center Parkway. And you'll see there's no stairs there on the right-hand side. So we just need to work through some of those details with staff. I will go back, I think, again, probably not clear in our submittal. There's one access to the parking garage. It's actually from South Street. It's not really a curb cut, but it is an area that where loading can take place, and there won't be access into the block from that area. The GID is looking to present something like this. This is an example of the finished product based on the conditions that we've discussed with staff. You can see that the main idea of the redesign of this block is to draw interest, both visually and also physically draw people into the high street development. This is also illustrative of the type of quality of buildings that GID is proposing for the property, with the high quality materials. But as Madeline pointed out, they are working with prospective tenants. And as these are considered what they call jewel box buildings, where you may have one designer retailer who wants to take over one building entirely, they will have different design parameters than, say, if it was a boutique office building. So that is why we're asking this for this flexibility, so they can respond to the market. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Restoration Hardware in Buckhead, but that's the type of idea that some of the folks that they're talking to are thinking of. So with that, we would ask for a 1-month deferral to your next meeting. Thank you.
All right, at this time, is there any public comments? Great. Thank you so much. All right, I have Bill Grossman.
Yeah. Bill Grossman, 5061 Hidden Branches Drive, Dunwoody. I'm here on behalf of the Dunwoody Homeowners Association. We asked High Street to add more parking and retail to the development. They gave up several hundred apartments to do that. We're very supportive of this application and hope you will be as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? No other public comments? All right, seeing none, I will open it up for commissioner question. Commissioner Shin, we'll start with you.
I guess I'll start with Madeline. For this type of rezoning, what is there typically required in a submission? And what did the applicant submit? And like, I guess just going over what's missing again, because I agree that there seems like a lot of missing information and it's just incomplete.
Yeah, so what we typically ask for is definitely elevations that we can refer to. And then we also typically ask for a little bit more detail about how a site is going to function, and how the pedestrian experience from the public realm is how that's going to feel. With these types of four-sided buildings, they're surrounded by, let me pull up the map just so I can better illustrate my point here. So typically on a project like this, we get those elevations and we have a little bit more site detail so we understand what the experience from the public realm is going to be. So we consider the public realm, it would be South Street, Perimeter Center Parkway, Middle Street, and High Street. We really want to make sure that Perimeter Center Parkway, and especially along like Middle Street and this corner right here, is very, attractive because it's right across the street from like a restaurant on the corner of Middle Street and Perimeter Center Parkway. Right now it's a Velvet Taco. And that's a very inviting corner, and a very, well-designed space. And so we just want to make sure that that type of design matches that. And we also want to make sure that things like loading docks, we know where theirs are going, how they're handling utilities, because again, those are things that can impact the experience in the public realm. We want those streets to look nice. Our fear often is that when you have surface parking lots, like this, that, all of the retailer businesses would face inwards into those parking lots, because that's just the standard style of design. But then facing the public realm, you would have the sort of less nice side, utilities, loading docks, etc. But we really want to emphasize good design facing the streets. That's the intent of the perimeter center design requirements. So I would summarize that as our main concerns with the materials that we've been provided. We just don't feel like we can kind of guarantee that.
Okay. So then from the applicant side, a question for the applicant. To me, that sounds like a lot to come up with in a month of a site plan that answers a lot of these questions, elevations. I guess what's the rush to try to skirt around this process or do a premature submittal at this point? Because it is a weird ask for us right now.
And I understand that. And we are asking the envelope to be pushed out a bit. And like I said, a lot of that has to do with the need for flexibility. We can't come up with elevations if they're going to be tied to the zoning. Because every time they get a new tenant and wants to change the building, we would have to come back through the process, 4 or 5 month process. They would lose tenants that way. The idea was, which is why a lot of those conditions that you saw, not the ones from the original zoning, I think there were about 14, but 14 additional conditions were ones that we had crafted with staff over several meetings to give, if we can't give you elevations, we can describe the building in words. Now, I do want to point out, I do understand, and obviously I do this for a living, that there are a lot of developers who potentially you can't trust to produce a finished product of a certain quality. But for instance, the restaurant, and I have already forgotten the name, the taco restaurant across that street, GID owns that building. They also own the rest of High Street, so they're not going to do anything that jeopardizes the asset that they already have. More importantly, they are going to want to be able to begin design, and I think they've already started preliminary designs on phase 3. This is a long-term hold for them. It always has been. They were the original applicant back in 2007 when we rezoned it through DeKalb County. So we are going to be asking for the envelope to be pushed out a bit, but I hope that with further discussions with staff, we can come up with conditions. And we did produce renderings in order to make sure everybody had an idea of the quality and the type of development that's being proposed. The clarifications on loading functions and pedestrian access and circulation. I mean, actually you'll be able to see where the sidewalks are on the plan that we provided. That I think will be easy enough to get that clarified with staff in a month.
Okay. While you're here, I have a clarification question on what is presented thus far then. it was talked about that there would be underground parking. And so why is there redundancy then with surface parking as well, especially seeing phase one, there is very limited surface parking on High Street.
That's why there's very limited surface parking in the development. So they'll be providing, I think, possibly around 200 spaces underground, which pretty much takes up the whole block. But surface parking, at least I personally will call it teaser parking, because if it were me, I wouldn't even try going to the surface parking because I know I'm not going to find a space, right? But it is a type of thing that tenants ask for and need when times when there's not a lot of people, maybe at High Street where it's not very crowded. It would be quite easy for people to nip in and nip out.
Yeah, I just think that it's a little excessive based on the design.
It's 140,000 square foot of commercial uses.
Yeah, with the redundancy of parking decks. And yeah, given the character area and given the prime location, this is like what the city is looking for is like good urban design. And I see this partially big proposal, and that does to me does not meet those goals. So I don't feel comfortable supporting this today, and I don't know what information can be gathered in a month to support this. I agree, like splitting up the buildings is probably the way to go. But how this site plan is, and it's not even a site plan, how this rendering is laid out. To me, I saw it, I went, whoa. So that's all. Thanks.
Commissioner Wallach?
Yeah, I have what I think is a quick question for Madeline. Do you think that you can actually get done everything that needs to get done to satisfy staff within 30 days? Because I don't see any real point in postponing 30 days and then coming back in 30 days and having to postpone again for 30 days or for 60 days, as opposed to just postponing once.
I mean, it's up to the applicant to provide any additional documentation that comes out of our discussions. And so if they feel that they're prepared to provide more information and sit down and work out a little bit more on the conditions, I mean, as staff, we're happy to do that, and we're happy to honor their request. So I'll defer to Laurel on if she feels that's a good amount of time.
I guess I have a clarifying question, Paul or Madeline. Planning
Sure.
Commission, sorry to interrupt you.
I thought she was going to answer my question.
They are.
I just admitted.
Planning.
I put her on the spot. I'm sorry. I was asking her about when this application would need to be advertised for the next meeting, but apparently it doesn't because it's going to be deferred to a date certain. So I think to alleviate your concerns about the 30-day time period, if after 2 or 3 weeks, if it's clear that there are major issues that on either the city side or the applicant side that we can't work out, then we can just ask that it be deferred automatically and or pulled from the agenda altogether.
Well, I think if we're, unless I'm misunderstanding the process, if we have to defer to a date certain, then we need to have a date certain. And we can only do that at this meeting. And then if you run into the trouble, we're going to have to extend it again. So I guess I'm asking whether it's really achievable to do this on a 30-day timetable.
It is achievable. Yeah. I was going to say really achievable, but it is definitely achievable.
Okay.
Commissioner Shin?
Sorry. Yeah, my question corresponds to that. Procedurally, the Planning Commission we only can defer case, this is for Paul and Madeline. We can only defer a case one time though. So if like, for
Yeah.
some reason it comes back and we still feel like there's not enough information.
So you can defer it once, unless it's upon the applicant's request.
So
And-
this doesn't count if it's
And
that.
I think,
Okay, thank you. I see Richard nodding his head.
yeah, and the applicant in this case has requested the deferral, so it wouldn't count towards the one deferral that you all have.
Great. Commissioner Cameron?
Yeah, I have a couple questions for the applicant. From the rendering, the one that the picture, but it says renderings are illustrative only, actual design will vary. Yes, that one. It looks like the parking spaces are going to be along Perimeter Center West, is that right?
This is the bottom plan, well, left-hand side of the picture. That's High Street interior.
Okay,
To the
I was
building.
actually looking at a different rendering. It was like an overhead rendering.
Is that the one you were talking about?
Yes.
So
Yes,
Perimeter Center Parkway is on the right-hand side.
correct.
There's a one row of parking here, sort of shielded by the landscaping.
Okay, because further down in, I guess, phase one, all of the parking decks open to Perimeter Center West. And I guess my concern is that as you're driving down Perimeter Center West, you're just looking at parking.
I guess I'm a little confused. Where's Perimeter Center West?
I'm
Perimeter
sorry,
Center Parkway. is
Parkway, sorry.
Okay, good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
'cause I was getting too wordy.
Nope, sorry. Yeah, Perimeter Center Parkway.
Yeah, I don't believe there are any curb cuts into parking decks from Perimeter Center Parkway.
No, but the parking decks are visible as you're driving down.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of a related question, following up on what Commissioner Shin asked. It seems redundant to have 100 street or surface parking spots when we've got a parking deck in phase one, and I understand that the tenants want them, but then what's the point of having the parking deck? I think it doesn't make sense. And this is also supposed to be like a walkable, bikeable area, and to have cars going in and out and street parking. I guess I just don't understand that design.
I think probably the thing to do would be to table that discussion when we have a representative from GID and their can get some more information from their marketing and leasing team.
And then is the plan, you were talking about what your tenants are going to demand, and then you referenced a building down in Buckhead. Is the plan that these buildings will be one tenant buildings?
Potentially, as they do have some interest from some potential tenants that are looking to have one building.
Okay.
Again, that's back to the flexibility that we're asking for.
All right. Madeline, I have a question for you, please. Is it unusual to tie approval of rezoning requests to elevations? It seems like in the last two we talked about, there was discussion of elevations and some of the staff conditions.
Yeah, we're typically always tying a rezoning to elevation, some sort of architectural rendering or elevation.
All right, those are my questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Moss?
I think my questions have been covered. No questions.
Great. It's not really a question, it's more of a comment for the applicant. I would agree with Commissioner Cameron on the parking. It doesn't totally make sense, so I think that that's worth the conversation during deferral. I don't mind it on High Street, but I do agree that there's too much of it on Perimeter Center Parkway with the intention of it being walkable. It just doesn't, I agree, it doesn't make sense to have cars and then people. And I would like to see, while I understand the part on the elevations, I think the other pieces with the more detail on the site function, public experience. And also I understand like the change, and I don't think that it's a bad change, but like why, and what's kind of directing it. That's it for me. All right, at this time, do we have any motions?
Just for reference, let me give you all the date for the next planning commission
Yes,
meeting.
please.
I believe it's September 8th, but let me just look at my calendar to
Yeah,
confirm.
do we have public comments? September what?
September 8th.
So it's not even 30 days.
Sorry, and if you could just be clear, September 8th at 6 p.m. if you're going to make a motion to defer.
Okay, thank you.
When is the October meeting?
The October meeting, I actually think is a weird one because of the holiday. It would be October 20th. So October 20th at 6 p.m.
Okay, so I can understand that.
So just from a procedural standpoint, if the applicant has voted or has requested a deferral, do we have any other authority or any other issues that we should discuss as far as part of our motion?
I mean, if you want to include in your motion some of the things that you would like clarified during the period of the deferral, you can certainly make that part of the motion. But I think both Laurel and I have taken extensive notes, so it's not entirely procedurally necessary. But you can make note in your motion that it was requested by the applicant, if you want that clear for the record.
Okay.
All right, I move that we defer this application as requested by the applicant for 30 days or for 1 month to the September 8th meeting at 6 o'clock p.m.
That's inherently contradictory.
We'll need to correct it to say for the meeting versus 30 days, because it's not 30 days from now.
Yeah, I said take out the 30 days.
Okay, so Commissioner Cameron has made a motion to approve the applicant's request for deferral to the September 8th at 6 p.m. meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Commissioner Moss has seconded. We'll vote now. All in favor, raise your hand. All right, that unanimously moves forward. Thank you. All right, we are moving on to SLEP 2602 related to 125 Perimeter Center West.
I'm back again. So this is a special land use permit request, so a little bit of shift in focus. The past 3 cases have been rezonings, but this is a special land use permit, which means that they are asking for a specific use to be approved. And then in case of SmartMed, they're requesting a special land use permit to allow a drive-through medical office. Now this is sort of a new model of a medical office. It's not necessarily a model that I've heard of before, but I'll allow the applicant to explain their business model in a little bit more detail during their presentation. They've been operating a similar location in Roswell for a couple of years at this point, but I will just stick to addressing the special land use permit criteria. So a little bit of background on this property. 125 Perimeter Center West is part of the Ashford Lane Shopping Center. If you're familiar with the old Truist Bank that's been emptied out for a couple of years, this is that site. Actually, last year there was interest in this site for redevelopment into a fast food restaurant, but that was denied by the city council. And so it has been left vacant still. The proposal this evening is to use the existing building, not to redevelop the entire site, but to use the existing building and the existing drive-through infrastructure for a drive-through medical office. The existing drive-through has 4 lanes. The lease site itself has about 21 parking spaces. And like I said, they're not proposing to make any changes to that. They would make some interior modifications, obviously, to switch it from a bank to a medical office. And they would make some exterior improvements, refreshing paint, adding some additional doors to accommodate their use, but it would function very similarly to the previous use. The circulation would also remain the same at just the existing circulation for the existing drive-through. Because this is a sort of different use than we've ever heard of, we asked the applicant to provide their own internal traffic and stacking data because they have been operating this for a couple of years and they sort of know what to expect from their clientele and how their drive-through traffic works and how much stacking they need and how much stacking they have. We asked them to provide these counts for us. And they essentially have 2 seasons, flu season and not flu season. And so during flu season, they have a little bit more traffic and stacking. They estimate a maximum of 6 cars per hour during that peak season. And I've highlighted it in yellow. Within that existing drive-through infrastructure that they have, they can accommodate the stacking. The site also has very wide drive lanes. And so there is also additional stacking capacity on the site that would not interrupt the flow of the rest of the Ashford Lane shopping center. So overall, we don't see this as something that would necessarily impact any of the other surrounding uses, and it certainly would not impact the public realm. It doesn't have any direct access to Perimeter Center Parkway. All of the ingress and egress is from lighted signals at these 2 entrances here that you can see on the aerial map. So any impacts from that drive-through use would be contained to the site. And when we look at a special land use permit for things like drive-throughs, we're trying to determine those sort of negative impacts on the public realm, and we don't anticipate any from this use. And we also, recognize that this is a different use for the area. There's not a lot of medical uses within this shopping district. And it would sort of complement that diversity of uses on the site. So overall, we are recommending approval of the application to allow the drive-through medical office, subject to 3 conditions, essentially tying them to using the existing footprint of the building and the existing structure of the drive-through. So they can't make changes by making that drive-through, extending any of the lanes to add more than 4. They can't extend the building to make it any larger. So they're basically tied to that footprint. And we've also really specified that this drive-through can only serve as an accessory to a medical office. This has a pretty low traffic impact for this type of use. We wouldn't want any other kinds of users to have an accessory drive-through. So just because you're approving this specific use, it wouldn't allow something like a fast food restaurant, which with much higher turnaround and much higher stacking requirements to come into this property. And then we are also specifying that they provide an in-office medical care option, which their model already does, but we're just making sure that if any future user ever does come in, that stays the same. But I will turn it over to the applicant so they can give their presentation and give you a little bit more information about how they operate. You'll use these arrows to go through, just these two.
Hello, my name's Luke Lathrop. I'm the physician with Smart Med, and this is my wife, Stacy. She's the boss. We are family owned and community built. We've been operating in Roswell for 4 years now, so I know this is a new concept to a lot of people, but we've been doing it for years and have seen upwards of 30,000 patients during that time. We were founded in 2022. And, you might be thinking, what the heck do they do? What's the Smart Med difference? Why is this different from any other urgent care or doctor's office? So we offer convenience that I think is unparalleled. No appointment needed. People can drive up without an appointment, get seen within a few minutes, especially during flu season when the wait time might be 2 hours in an urgent care or 8 hours in an ER. We still see people within 0 to 15 minutes. So there's a great convenience there. The Superior Diagnostics, we have the same lab equipment that I use in the ER setting. So the exact same equipment without any change. It's accessible either in office or drive-through. We have a very strong primary care sector. It's affordable. We are in network with nearly all major insurance payers, and we'll show a slide here about our self-pay rates are very, very competitive. We're trusted. You have to build trust, but we've been open 4 years. And I think I would encourage you to go through our Google reviews if you want to know more about us. We don't prompt those. Those are our patients, our families. So that's important to us. And, how do we accomplish this? By these things, but also we bring in exceptional people who greet you with a smile, who are super smart and take great care of you every step of the way.
Yeah, and just to back up for a minute, I think it might even be helpful for you to understand where this model came from. So we were operating a COVID testing site in Roswell for a couple of years during COVID. And during that time, and by the way, Luke is a ER doctor for 20 years at Wellstar at Kennestone. So that was, his background. And then I was in business at Cox over here for 20 years. And during the time when we operated the COVID testing site, a lot of families would say, while I'm in here, do you mind checking the ears of the child? Do you mind checking, seeing if we have strep? And after COVID began to wind down, we really started thinking to ourselves, we love what we're doing. We're helping everyone in the community. We have a following of 20-some thousand people that have been working with us. Using our facility, I should say. What could we do with this? And so we, as parents to a 6 and 7 year old, but way back then it was more, a 1 and 2 year old when we were looking at this concept. We thought with such busy lives, families needed more accessible, affordable, and convenient healthcare options. And so instead of dragging your children into the pediatrician's office, which we love our pediatrician, but if you have young kids like me, they're all over the place, licking the walls, etc. They act crazy. Anyway, the children remain buckled in. We see everyone over the age of 1. So at this point, we're seeing 3 generations of families. I think our oldest patient is 99 that comes in. And a lot of times we get to know the family. So we're with the pediatric patients, and then we're taking care of their parents, and then they start bringing in their parents, because that middle generation is part of the sandwich generation. They're having to take care of their adult parents, their geriatric parents that are having issues now with mobility and getting out of the car. And so the most exciting part of this is that I think we initially thought it was just going to be, when we piloted out of a tent in a trailer, by the way, for a year and a half, we initially thought it was just going to be pediatrics. But what we really found was we had this ability to touch a number of people that otherwise were having a hard time getting quality access care, like our patients that pull in large vans with cystic fibrosis, or the geriatric facilities that have a couple of people in the van that need us to go up into the van to take care of them, to just test for a quick upper respiratory infection. It gives us a sense of, it makes us feel great. I mean, we love what we do. The community, fortunately, has backed us and has helped us build out all of the services. And so that kind of takes us to this next area. We started with the drive-through urgent care, and then we realized that people were coming in with chronic health conditions that they wanted access to the type of service we provide, the ability to call and get me on the phone every time that they ring, or the ability through a HIPAA compliant texting message system to just be able to text into their doctor. They wanted this easy
accessible way of getting healthcare. And so we decided to bring in the primary care aspect as well. And so in the past year, we've seen 2,900 visits in office for our primary care. And then because Luke and I are 1099s and have such difficult time finding great insurance, we felt like it was really important to ensure that this was affordable for everyone. And so the third thing that we just started, the division that we started was called Smart Labs. And so we have contracted with LabCorp to have exceptionally low rates for blood testing. So instead of someone needing a quick A1C check and having to go into a doctor's office, have a visit there, then get the lab work ordered, then have a second visit to talk about it, they can drive up to us and get it done for $35 and have their results next morning from LabCorp because we've contracted with them now. So everything that we're doing, we are doing for the communities that we serve. We are in network with every commercial payer that exists as a primary care physician. And so we did that on purpose because we did not want people to have to pay the cost of urgent care visits just for something as easy as a strep swab. And so patients have the ability to use their insurance or to have very inexpensive self-pay rates when working with SmartPed, because we want to be able to serve everyone in the communities that we go into. And although we didn't put it here, what's a big passion of mine is just ensuring that we become a part of every community that we're in. Right now, we're partners with 13 different schools in Roswell. We hold blood drives. We work with the Drake House. We help with the homeless. We do the Sandwich Project. I mean, it's just so important to us to be a part of giving back to the communities. And Dunwoody seems like a fantastic place to then grow to next. We've been looking for a few years for the right second location. We actually looked at another spot that was closer to the actual housing, more neighborhood area of Dunwoody a couple of years ago and realized that that's not where we should be because something more commercial like this that was going to drive traffic needed to be in a commercial location. So when this popped up, we just got really excited about it. We do have patients now that are coming from Dunwoody to see us. I know that they would like us to be a little bit closer. It's about 17, our current location is about 17 minutes away from here. I told them obviously not to try and show up because we thought this meeting might go on a lot longer and they have small families. But here are some of the people that wanted to write in and just have something to say on our behalf. So we hope that this land use permit is approved and that we're able to bring this to Dunwoody, and we're really excited to be a part of your community.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to start with any public comments. Is there any for? Anyone against? All right, then I will go to commissioner questions. Commissioner Shin.
What would you say is like the split between people using those in-office services versus like drive-through?
It's very seasonal, I would say on average, probably 50-50. So during the winter, it skews more towards the drive-through aspect, but every other season it's more primary care in office.
And what's the average visit time for a drive-through patient?
From start to finish, registration to driving off, roughly 20 minutes.
Okay. And then I have a question for Madeline then.
Yep.
Yeah.
So depending on, I think one of the things where you're going with that, and I understand why you're asking that question, is how long are cars just kind of like sitting there?
Yeah.
And so depending on if there is a stacking, it could take 20 minutes for the last car to get in. But if there is no stacking, and I know this is going to be surprising to you, we usually have someone through in about 6 minutes.
And I should say we run in series and in parallel. So like if there's a little bit of a line, like we move pretty quickly.
Okay, cool. I was like,
It's like old COVID days.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, question for Matt. So one of the conditions is that the SLUP is tied to medical use, partially logic wise, is because this kind of business model seems like it would have less of a queue. Is medical use, like the umbrella, also considered pharmacies? Because I feel like pharmacies have a more queue and more car trips like than this use.
I would have to pull up the definition of
Okay.
the medical use, but I can certainly do that right now if you would like.
Okay, thank you. I will let other people ask questions. Thanks.
Commissioner Wallach?
I guess I have a question for the applicant.
Yeah.
Do you really conceive of needing 4 lanes?
No, and so we're not planning on using 4 lanes. I don't know if you had the most recent renderings, but we're planning on using 2 lanes. And so there's actually 5 lanes. There's 4 within the bank area, and then there's that like little external lane on the outside. We're only going to be using the first 2. There is no way that we could staff something that would ever have all of those lanes, nor would we want to create that look. That's just not our brand. We'd like to think we're a little bit classier than that.
Thank you.
Madeline?
Yeah, and then just real quick in response to Elizabeth, we can just make sure in our condition to have pharmacies excluded from that.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Shin, any follow-up questions on that?
No, that's it. Thank you, Madeline.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Cameron?
I assume that the owner of the property's on board. Okay. And this is not with the last, application we considered for this property, there was concern about how it would affect traffic on Perimeter Center West. That's not an issue from your perspective?
No, this is a much lower intensity use, and we really don't anticipate it having any impacts outside of their own lease area for just the building. So,
okay, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Moss.
oh, and then sorry, just Deb, to clarify on your question, anytime someone, just the ownership question, anytime someone files a rezoning request, they provide the property owner's approval as part of the application.
Thank you, Madeline. Commissioner Moss?
For the applicant, about how many staff and would you have interior and exterior if you're running the 2 lanes? According to one of the renderings on there, it looks like and I'm familiar with this somewhat, but I don't use it as a bank, so I'm not sure. A couple of questions regarding, are you trying to treat 4 at a time or just 2 at a time?
No, we really are. That second lane, the one that's the furthest one, is actually is the lane where we plan on treating people. That the first lane, and I know we're getting into the weeds here, but is if someone wanted the ability to pull up, come inside and leave a urine sample. So we are not planning on we are not planning at this time to do that. If we needed to move through cars more quickly in order to stop stacking, then yes. And in some cases, we would have 8 people out there with the Roswell location, for example. I feel like if we ever had a situation where we had to take care of 2 cars at one time side by side, which is not the plan now, but if we had to do that, there would probably be I would say seven people at any point in time going in and out of the building.
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, the inside lane those people may exit
They
the
keep
vehicle
going.
and come inside. Oh, the inside lane
Yeah,
continues
so
through.
the inside
Outside
lane,
lane may.
the inside lane as it is now, they may, we designed it so that when you open the door, there is a restroom right there. So they would have the ability to go in, drop the sample, and then hopefully a minute and a half, 2 minutes, hop back in their car and keep going. The second lane is the lane that we were keeping for taking care of patients. And so that first lane, we do not expect to have that type of stacking. I can't imagine we would ever have a lot of people in lane 1, but the lane 2 would probably be the lane where we would have individuals. And if we ever found that the first lane wasn't even going to be needed, we just push people over.
Okay. In interior, the bank layout currently the way it is going to give you a few treatment rooms inside.
It's absolutely perfect. Yes, it has about 7 different offices right now. So we have multiple exam rooms that we can use. We also have 2 different lab areas. So it's really perfect for it. There's very little we have to do on the inside, thank goodness.
Okay. One other thing, because again, I'm not positive about thing. How tall is that canopy that
I
they
believe
come
it's
underneath?
10. I want to say it's 9 or 10 feet. Do you
Okay.
have any?
Yeah, I was thinking 9.5 or 10.
Okay.
Yeah, the one we have currently is 11 feet, and that seems to be about 2.5 feet taller than we needed.
Okay.
So it even would allow for work vehicles to come through with if it ever needed to, and I mean, it has to be that way for the fire engines and everything else.
I was curious just because of, and again, not having the dimensions of that, the idea of treating people in and out of the cars, are they required to turn their car off?
No, sir.
Once beside them?
No, they don't have to do
What's-
anything.
I'm not eating the exhaust from
bringing
next
the
to me.
video, but but then I thought, well, what if it doesn't work when I hit play? Maybe I can follow up with an email later if anyone would be interested to see how it actually works. But people remain in the car the whole time. And so imagine Chick-fil-A, but for medical care. So the first thing they do is they pull up and we register them. We can do that in about 75 seconds. They pull forward another stop. Then they're getting their vitals taken. And then at that moment, the patient, or excuse me, the medical assistant moves away and the provider comes to the door, begins the exam. Then if there is a test that's indicated, they'll go ahead and swab for whatever that is. That's passed to the lab tech. Lab tech walks it in and begins to run the specimen. The patient leaves immediately. We're running all of the diagnostic testing, and then as soon as it's ready, we call them. So generally, if it was something like an ear infection, we send in a script immediately. So by the time they get to the pharmacy, it's already there for them. So essentially, they've been able to leave their house, go through us, go to the pharmacy, and go home, but while they would still be waiting somewhere else. Or if it's a test that we're actually still running, then we call the patient back and we do use the hospital grade PCR equipment. Within 45 minutes, send in the scripts, or the provider then gives them follow-up instructions over the phone.
Okay. No further questions.
Follow-ups.
I'm gonna go to, would you like to go, Commissioner Wallach?
Unless you were going to go.
I was gonna ask a question.
Sure.
For the applicants, how many people do you typically see inside?
I'd say each day we're seeing about 26 people.
And across how many
inside.
providers?
Across 3.
Okay, and are those by appointments or are those walk-in?
16 are by appointment and the other are by walk-ins.
Okay, and how many total staff then are you looking at?
We have about 12.
12 total, okay.
Mhm.
And so the parking that you're gonna be using for that staff, you can accommodate that as well as the guests that are coming or your clients that are coming with the current parking there?
Yes, and if I can further explain, it took us probably 4 years to get to a point where we were seeing enough people where we needed that many staff. We're planning on starting out with 3 people.
Okay.
And the parking there is pretty generous and we're not planning on taking away any spots.
Yeah, I think the other thing to note is that we're only open from 9 to 4, Monday through Friday, because we like to have our providers to have a work-life balance. And so one of the things that we talked to staff about was the ability for other people to be able to use that parking when we're not there. The only thing we would do is just make sure that the actual drive-through lane was blocked off.
And just to follow up to that, then what about weekends?
Yes, so weekends we are not open.
Okay.
So the people using that and we have been there because we're really trying to find the perfect location, obviously, when you're investing like this and you're just a small business. So we've been looking at the way the traffic flows in the morning hours, in the afternoon, and towards when we leave around 4. And so far, we haven't seen that there would be any impact at all. And then it's kind of nice because I feel like it'll still allow the community to have access to the 21 spaces when we're not there.
Would you ever consider weekends?
We do at Roswell, we do 9 to 12 on Saturdays and
Okay.
flu season only for 4 months.
Okay.
It's just not our model. We're kind of Chick-fil-A when it comes to that. And we want people to be able to have
Yeah, when volume supports it,
I
potentially.
mean,
Yeah.
everybody wants the weekends. every mom wants the weekends. They do not want to have to go to the urgent care on the weekends, but it's just something that we're not able to do. We have a small family too. We want to make sure that people are home with their families.
Okay. Yeah, I just ask, I totally understand. I just ask because when I've had to go to urgent care, it's been on the weekends.
I know.
So
I
that's
know.
why I'm
Look,
just
there is
asking.
there is massive volume on the weekends.
Yeah.
Well, opportunity, I should say. It's just not going to be us doing it, but we have thought about doing some sort of telemed
Yeah,
with
fair
the
enough.
ability to do some
Okay.
sort of diagnostics.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's it from me, Commissioner Wallach.
Yeah. How does the facility handle the person who pulls up and has a problem that you can't treat and they should be somewhere else?
Yeah, so that does happen occasionally. We've had a few people that come in with chest pain. We've had a few abdominal pains who they need to go to the ER and they need a CAT scan and they did end up having appendicitis. So things like that, we are ready for because it does happen. But we bring them in generally. We had one that was a little bit unstable that we couldn't bring in. We just called 911 right away and kind of dealt with what we could while we were there. So we are ready for that because if somebody comes in with chest pain or stroke-like symptoms, that's not something we are equipped to deal with. But we're ready and prepared, and we have the AED and all those things if needed. Knock on wood, we're ready. But yeah, generally we're equipped.
Fortunately, we've only one other thing to note is that fortunately we've only had to call 911 3 times in the last 2 years. So it's not as if the paramedics are hanging out in our parking lot or anything. But yes, we are prepared. A lot of times people do try and come through the line for things that are ridiculous that they should be already at the hospital with, but they want it to be quick and they want to know from us whether they think they really need to go because they trust us, and we just send them on.
Okay. And my second question was, if there were a condition to demolish 2 of the lanes, would that make the project economically not viable?
No, we only have 1 lane at Roswell.
Well,
Or say, can you?
I understand that you only have the lanes in Roswell, but what I'm getting at is if the commission were to require as a condition for approval that you had to bear the expense of getting rid of 2 of the lanes, would that make it impossible for you to proceed?
What does getting rid of the lanes?
Well, I'm assuming I don't have it.
Because it's
picture-
essentially just one big large.
Right. And if you had to get rid of the outboard part of it, could you absorb that?
Oh, so if we would need to remove the wall, shorten the roof and make it smaller. Is that what you're potentially referring to? I mean, it would probably add another $200,000 to just something that we're leasing. So it would change it.
It's going to be a lease. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So it is a lease. It's we're looking at a 10-year lease with 2 options for 5s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if this helps at all, currently we run with 1 lane. I'd prefer to have 2 just in case we ever needed the stacking ability, but we do run with 1 and we could always run with 1 if we had to.
I was actually looking at it from the question of whether we could get this large drive-in structure reduced in size, reduced in appearance, aesthetically, and you could absorb the cost of it. But if you don't own it, I can understand that.
Yes, that would, I don't know that they would allow us to do that, to be honest.
Okay, thank you. Is there any additional comment or question from the commissioners?
Not to recommend demoing or modifying that, but just make sure to block off those extra lanes.
Yes.
People use them for parking.
Oh, we know what happens. And so we will have cameras up because that is one thing that we noticed is that we can't tell what they're doing, but people are just sitting underneath that canopy. And so they will not be able to just sit. I mean, we're going to do our best to ensure that they're not sitting under the canopy anymore.
I think it's an Uber Eats hangout.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing it could possibly be. But yes, and if there's no objection to a white cone or something that is, looks decent, we would be happy to block off those other
Yeah.
sides.
Planter boxes.
I was gonna say a planter.
Absolutely.
Big planters.
Yes, we would be
Mhm.
completely open to that. We want things to look as nice as you do.
Any other comments or questions? All right, at this time, thank you. At this time, is there a motion? Commissioner Shin.
I motion to approve SLUP 2602, subject to staff conditions with the edit to staff condition 2, indicating that this SLUP is for medical use only, excluding pharmacies.
Wonderful. All right, Commissioner Shin has put forward a motion to approve with staff conditions along with an additional amendment. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Commissioner Cameron has seconded. So we'll take a vote. All in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. All right, we will move on to our last one. SLUP 2603 in regards to 5342 Tilly Mill Road and the Margish Jewish Community Center.
Okay, phew. Last presentation of the evening. I just want to commend you all. Thank you so much for being so efficient this evening with a very large agenda. I really appreciate y'all's dedication. And yeah, just great meeting. I just wanted to commend you all for that. So this next case is SLUP 26-03. It's a special land use permit to allow an indoor pickleball facility. This is the MJCCA. I'm sure you're all familiar with this, but it's a recreation club that's operated in Dunwoody since 1961. It is zoned R-100 and it's located in the suburban neighborhood. It's located off Tilly Mill near the intersection with Womack Road. Back in 2023, some of you who've been here for a while might remember this, but for those of you who are a little bit newer to the board, in 2023, the MJCCA added a couple of new outdoor sport courts. This included 4 uncovered courts and 11 covered courts. This was for pickleball, if you're aware of the recent fad. As part of that special land use permit, because they were adding new outdoor recreation, they were also required to do a noise study. As part of that project, that noise study recommended some acoustical fencing for noise control. So it's just like a special type of fencing that's meant to dampen sound. And then this year, they've requested to expand their pickleball facilities to construct a new indoor facility. It would be near the location of the 2023 courts that were approved. And I've outlined in red here that area. Essentially, they would clear and grade this area next to the existing courts. And then this is the site plan showing what they would build, which is an approximately 10,500 square foot indoor pickleball facility that would have 4 new pickleball courts. And they would also extend that acoustic fencing to the building edge on the side of the building that faces the single family homes to the south. This is a rendering and elevations of the proposed project, so it would be a fairly basic pickleball facility, sort of a warehouse style, and then they would have garage doors for when the weather is nice for airflow. The MJCCA is not, I think I might have had a typo earlier in here. The character area is actually Civic Campus. That was a new character area that was created by our 2045 comprehensive plan. And this Civic Campus encompasses both the MJCCA and the college campus as well. And this character area recognizes the MJCCA as a vital community asset. And for these types of recreation clubs, staff does recognize the need for them to evolve over time for new needs in the community. And overall, we are recommending approval of the request. The MJCCA will be maintaining that existing 40-foot buffer. The MJCCA is also extending the acoustical fencing, but also we think much of the sound can be attenuated because it's enclosed rather than open courts. And those courts will also have the same hours of operation as was previously approved in the 2023 rezoning. But overall, we have 5 recommended conditions. The first is just tying them to their site plan and elevations. The second is regarding the maintenance of that buffer. The third is regarding the installation of that additional sound attenuation fencing. The 4 and 5 are carryovers from the 2023 special land use permit, which just prevent a PA system from being used, for, announcing plays and games and such as that. And then 5 is related to the hours of operation of the courts. And again, that's the same as for the outdoor courts. And then I'll go ahead and pull up the applicant's presentation so they can share a little bit more about the details and the reason why they're requesting this. Let me go ahead and share the screen real quick. Should be. I don't know why it keeps doing. Hang on. Sorry, I'm just gonna get this PowerPoint set up correctly. Okay, you should use these 2 areas to go from that, yeah.
All right, thank you, Madeline. Good evening. My name is Jordan Edwards, 4062 Peachtree Road, Atlanta. Here representing the JCC tonight. We've got several folks here with me. Let me just go ahead and introduce though, Jared Powers. He's the CEO of the JCC and certainly is able to answer questions as well as myself. This is a request for a use permit to allow that addition of one building that would house indoor pickleball courts. I don't want to spend much time rehashing what's already been said. The JCC is a 50-acre campus on Tilly Mill Road. It's been operating from here for 65 years. They provide just an immense array of services to the community, Dunwoody and beyond. So they're great people. They do great stuff. You do remember from 2023, we came forward with that use permit to do much more extensive capital improvement projects to the campus, including the pickleball course that Madeline mentioned. That project is complete and the campus looks beautiful, but a need has arisen since then for indoor pickleball courts. This pickleball program at the JCC is extremely active. It's extremely popular for folks of all ages. But it's very popular as well with our senior population, and at very hot weather, very cold weather. We just would prefer to be able to provide somewhere that's climate controlled, that is just a safer and more comfortable place to play for everybody. So here is our site plan. Direct your attention to the bottom right corner. That pink rectangle, that's our proposed building. It would be in front of our existing pickleball courts, the outdoor courts, but it would still be behind an existing building that's labeled there on the sheet. It'd be 250 feet and more from Tilly Mill Road. So it's still set back quite a bit from the street. Just to zoom in a little bit here, the building would be large enough to accommodate 4 regulation size pickleball courts. As well as that, we're, as you may have seen on the rendering, the elevations, we are programming roll-up doors on the east and west facades. So that would be the facade facing the existing courts and the facade that's facing towards that Orkin house that you see. That would accommodate, when the weather's nice, we can open and get some cross breeze through there, but obviously close it for the purposes in the hot weather and the cold weather. Would not have any roll-up doors on that south elevation. That's where the building would be closest to the property lines. That would be a complete structured wall, unbroken wall. We are well outside of the building setback line, well outside of the buffer line. In fact, the nearest corner there is 74 feet removed from the property line. That was one typo I wanted to correct from the staff report. I think it said 54 feet. That was from our original site plan. After our filing at the beginning of July, we submitted a revised site plan that pushes that building further north away from the property line. So now it's 74 feet away, which is about the same as the corner of the existing covered pavilion courts, as well as a teen house. I don't know if you can see that on the far extreme right hand side. They're all about 73, 75 feet away from the property line. So this is in line with that. As Madeline mentioned, we're extending that acoustic fence. The fence was a requirement of the 2023 use permit. We are extending it to the corner of the new building. That's going to further help the sound attenuation that's already in place there. The indoor pickleball court, of course, is going to be indoors. We don't expect that to contribute any sort of sound impacts over the property line. In fact, I think the placement of that building is actually going to improve the sound situation. The sound that comes from this whole pickleball complex, I think that it can't escape to the south because the existing acoustic fence, maybe it can escape to the east. This building will block that sound from escaping. So it will just bounce the sound back to the north, keeping it inside the complex. Staff have reviewed this application and they have recommended approval subject to those conditions. We're amenable to those conditions, have no problems with those. So we do ask that y'all vote to recommend approval also. We're certainly here to answer. Our whole team is here to help answer questions. Am I able to reserve any time to respond to comments if that comes up?
Yeah, well, you'll be able to respond to them.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, then that's
No
what we'll
problem.
do. So
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I'll open it up for public comments. Looks like we've got a few, so see what I got, or I just got one. Okay. Is there anyone currently that would like to speak for the project? All right, seeing none, Anne would welcome you up. If you could kindly just state your name and your address, that would be wonderful for us.
My name is Ann Ahern and I live at 2132 Dunwoody Glen.
Just a little
Sure,
closer so we
sure. I do have some pictures I'd like to submit to everybody if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Paul, you can give them
Could
to.
you get those?
It's also an outline of what I'm going to be
Thank you.
presenting.
Thank you.
So I live directly in back of the current pickleball courts. There are 16 of them. And they're open from 8 in the morning until 10 at night on Monday through Thursday. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're open 8 in the morning till 8 at night. When the initial courts were approved, there was a lot less information on the setbacks, the lighting requirements, the acoustical blankets, and the maintenance thereof. But there's a lot more available today regarding this. The setbacks came about in late 22. And like I said, setbacks is one of the main things that they recommend. The main setback is that's recommended by the USA Pickleball Association is never to be less than 100 feet from a residential area. And as has been presented, this is going to be much less than that. Even though the proposed one is going to be indoors, myself and my neighbors hear a lot of screaming and yelling from people playing pickleball. We can hear the noise of the paddles, the noise of the balls. It's very loud. So it's quite a disturbance to our homes. I have a home office in the back of my house, and I could actually hear it in my home office, hear the sound of the pickleball and the noise from the people playing. So it's a big disturbance. I've given you, the pictures that I've given you, the first one is of the neighbor that is directly behind the pickleball court. And you can see it's this big, massive building. And when you stand in back of her backyard, it's very, very loud. Especially during dinner time and peak hours and Saturday and Sunday and holidays. With regard to property values, the National Association of Realtors determined that pickleball courts that are less than 100 feet from property values decrease their values by 10 to 20%. Appraisers consider it a property value determination because it's something called external obsolescence, which is depreciation in property values caused by factors outside the property lines that homeowners cannot control. And this would fall into that category. So all the homes within the pickleball area, probably about 4 or 5 of us, have seen a big drop in property values, as well as not being able to enjoy our backyards anymore. Some of the pictures that I've showed you are of my backyard. I used to call it paradise. I've got a pool, I've got a gazebo, lots of walkways. Now it's all I hear is pickleball. 14 hours a day during the week and 12 hours a day on the weekends. The neighbor next to me, she's even closer to the courts. She's in her 80s and she has Parkinson's disease. So she doesn't go outside very often, but her daughter takes care of her. And her daughter says she can also hear it inside the pickleball noise inside the house and the yelling from the sports. The other pictures I've given you in my packet are of the actual pickleball courts. The city of Dunwoody had them do I think they're acoustical blankets. They also suggested that they put in trees. But as you can see, I've denoted how many trees there are. They're actually not trees, they're bushes. They're waiting for them to grow, which I don't think is appropriate when you're trying to block the vision of the pickleball courts and diminish the sound. You'll also see that one of the trees is dead and they still haven't taken them out, or the bushes. And you'll also see in some of the pictures that there's places where there were trees, but there are no more. The blankets that were put around the courts are not, they don't reach past some of the other homes that are extended past the pickleball courts. Can you see some of those pictures? And I've made the comments on the pictures. From the months of October through April, the leaves on all the trees in the I guess it's the 40-foot or 25-foot barrier between the homes and the pickleball courts, they all fall. And you can see this huge big building of the picture of the pickleball courts, this huge white building. It's massive from all of our houses. And because the leaves have fallen, the sound is much more amplified. So it's even a worse disturbance. I know they said that this is an indoor court, but that doesn't allow for the people coming in and out of the courts and screaming to the people in the other courts. And also between October and April, they have these huge industrial lights that shine into my sunroom. It feels like, I guess the best analogy I can give you is when a helicopter's looking for a criminal, they have the big lights that they're looking on. That's how it is in my sunroom. So it's not pleasant at all. I don't think that when they were approved, I don't think they realized how close they were going to be to the homes and how much sound would emanate from them. I think you've probably heard that pickleball is much noisier than tennis. And it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And the JCC does do a good job of the community. I just think that this is this is not a good way to continue their viability with the homeowners on this street. It's very, very disappointing and very disturbing to homeowners in the street. Do you have any questions?
Not at this time. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
No, because that was a public comment. Yeah.
How much time was that?
We had, this was 7 minutes.
Okay, since we didn't have anyone speaking for, the applicant is welcome to use that time. We'd ask you to keep it to 5 if possible.
Yes, ma'am, I'll be brief.
Thank you.
The one important thing I want to point out is that the subject of the request tonight is for the addition of the one building that has indoor pickleball courts. And again, the pickleball courts will be completely enclosed in that building, especially the wall facing to the south is a complete unbroken wall. We don't expect indoor pickleball courts to contribute any noise beyond the campus. So that's the first part. But going to the existing courts that are not before us tonight, when the 2023 SLUP process played out, I'm sure y'all remember this, sound was a big topic of concern, rightly so. In addition to requiring the sound fence, in addition to requiring a cap on the increase allowed up to 3 decibels above the ambient pre-construction sound level, the city also required the JCC to put in or to produce 6-month and 12-month post-construction reports, which we provided. And I've got a copy of one here if you would like to look at it. But it showed that the JCC was well within that 3 decibel limit post-construction when pickleball is being played. And in fact, the report showed that honestly, ambient noises that occurred during the measurement periods were louder than the noise coming from the pickleball courts. So traffic, a airplane flying, where the peak max is on those measured sound levels, not the pickleball. That said, I really do think that what we're proposing tonight is going to improve the sound that Ms. Ahern has observed to you. By extending the sound fence, we're going to close a gap there. By putting the building where it is located, the building itself will shield her property from sound. Her property where it's located, I don't know if I got the aerial back in here, but she is to the east of where the current sound fence terminates, right? So I mean, I'm not a sound engineer, but it's conceivable that those waves of sound may roll down the fence line and then escape right where her property is. I think that this is going to improve her situation quite a bit. The trees, we're definitely happy to work with the city arborist on our trees. She showed one that died this year. You can't plant fully grown trees. They won't survive. You have to plant young trees. You have to space them out so that they don't crowd each other. We've done that, but we have a tree condition. That's condition number 3 that staff recommended. We're okay with that. And we're happy to work with the arborist to keep our trees looking good. A lot of those pictures were taken facing into the campus. So it's chain link fences that don't border the properties next to us. Those are interior fences that's not where sound mitigation was intended to be. So that's the big points I wanted to hit to you. And since we installed the sound fence, the JCC has not received any complaints about excess noise, not a single one. At least when we spoke with staff at the beginning of this process, staff had not received any complaints about noise, at least as of a month ago. So we do think we're doing a good job. We think we can do even better with this improvement that we're proposing tonight. So that's it. Happy to answer questions, but we appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Now, at this time, public comment is closed, and we're going to be turning it over to Commissioner comment and question. I will start with Commissioner Moss.
For the applicant. Couple of questions. The new building is a footprint only. Will it result in any more expanded concrete area that can cause any runoff issues, anything like that? Or is it going on some existing concrete asphalt? What does that look like? Are we expanding any
It's the
hard surfaces?
the footprint of the building is an expansion of the hard surface, and then there will be sidewalks on the complex side going oh, sorry. So you may be able to see there's pedestrian access from the existing pickleball complex side. So that'd be like the northwest corner of the new building. So pretty limited to the additional hardscape. That said, we have, I think the cap for us is 60%, 60% impervious cover for the whole campus. And we're around like less than 30.
Okay, the building you said will have roll-up doors, per se, bay type roll-up doors.
Yes.
Right, so they can be opened up. And for the resident that spoke, I believe we would say that she would be, and I would refer to this in different terminology, but she would be to that southwest side, or I mean, rather the southeast side of that building as we're looking at it. Is that correct? It's down in that area,
Yes,
down
sir.
that way.
In fact,
So what's facing that property would be the solid side of the building. Is that fair enough to say?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Her property, if you see where the arrow pointing to the property line,
Yes.
it continues and correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, and that points to her backyard. That pool, that octagonal blue pool is this acreage property.
Okay. And when was I wasn't involved in the first hearing on all this stuff, but when was the last sound study done? When was that?
It was done in 2025. We submitted this, it was completed in May of 2025.
Okay. All right. No more questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Cameron?
How tall are the acoustic fences?
They are 10 feet tall.
And are the photos, did you get a copy of the photos that the woman distributed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it just regular chain link fencing that's covered with some kind of cover?
That's correct. So it's a 10-foot tall chain link fence. And then on top of that is a pad, which is, I think these are 1/4 inch thick, is a material called Acoustifence. That is a device that's commonly used. It's an industry standard for sound dampening. And in fact, in the 2023 special use permit process, that's me, sorry. The JCC submitted a very extensive sound study pre-construction, and it included all the specs for the sound fence material.
The southern or the end of the indoor facility that's facing the neighbors in Dunwoody Glen, what is that made of?
You know, for this one's, Stephen, I don't want to say anything that's not true. So let me defer to Stephen. This is Stephen Cadronell.
Good evening, Stephen Cadronell, past chair of the Marcus Juice Community Center Foundation, an active board member and commercial real estate developer. The wall you're referring to, I believe, is the solid wall that is closest to the adjacent property owners. So that's a combination of masonry, stone, and wood.
So it's not like a corrugated metal or?
No.
Okay. Those are all my questions. Thanks.
Wonderful, thank you. Commissioner Wallach?
I don't have any questions.
All right, Commissioner Shin.
For the proposed indoor facility, is there any exterior lighting on that building? Sorry, thank you.
The only exterior lighting, and maybe if we went to the elevation, you'd see it, are gooseneck lights that are really more for security than anything. And they all point directly down.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
I do not have any questions either, so thank you. At this time, any commissioner discussion? All right, seeing none. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve, push the button.
Yep.
Yeah, I move that we approve SLUP 26-03 with the staff conditions.
All right, Commissioner Wallach has a motion to approve. Is there a second?
A second.
All right, Commissioner Cameron has seconded. So at this time, we will take a vote. All in favor, please make the like sign. All right, that unanimously moves forward. Thank you. All right, at this time, is there any other business? No other business. Any additional public comment? All right, seeing none, any commissioner comment?
Just want to say you rock, Jackie.
Well, thanks,
Great
Deb.
job
I
out there.
appreciate you. Thank you guys for trusting me with the process and helping me through was the longest first meeting ever. So thank you. And Madeline, really great job. I know this was a lot on the plate for today. So thank you for all of your efforts.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we will adjourn then. Thanks, everyone.